फोटो वाला दूजा कैमरा ले आना सी करो
गर्मी नहीं है पाऊ की स्केड्यूल की आ
हैं बस कोई है थोड़े को 5-4 दिन जिन्ने दिन भी ठीक लगा
अच्छा
फिर मुझे पक्का प्रॉब्लम है ना 16 अप्रैल का है संक्रांत दे ब्याह है
अच्छा
तीजे दा
हाँ जी
सारी बना लो वधिया बन जाएगी सारी फिर वो चढ़ गया हाँ वो चढ़ गया चढ़ती बनाई दी होंगी भी
all the different color और पीछे different color
वो ਵਿੱਚ
ਇੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵੇਖ ਸਕਦਾ ਤੂੰ ਥੱਲੇ ਵੜ ਕੇ ਵੇਖ ਸਕਦਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਐਂ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਸਕੂਲ ਤੋਂ ਵੇਚਣਾ ਤਾਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੇ
अच्छा फोटो खींचना पीछे कम करे पीछे को
फोटो खींचने
with the best possible care through training and regular checkups. Now, today I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we train our animals here at the aquarium. And one of the most important tools that we use, you probably heard throughout the session already, is our whistle. What it means when Hannah hears this whistle is that she did a great job and that she can come back to us for some form of reward. Now, that reward can be fish, but it can be also other things, ice, toys, rubs, basically anything that they seem to like. Another tool that we use is kind of a big word. It's called successive approximations. All it means is taking baby steps whenever we're training a behavior. And I'm going to talk you guys through one of those baby steps with Hannah's behavior called the porpoise. Basically what I'm asking of her is to do a little porpoise-like leap in front of me in the dock here. And I'm going to be using one of the tools a lot of trainers use. It looks like a giant Q-tip. We call it a target pole. And it acts as a focal point. That way she can follow it. We can also use our hand, as you may have seen Adria using already. So she comes up, she catches the focal point or the target, and she gets some form of reward. So we're going to see what this looks like here. So as you saw, she followed the target nicely. I used my whistle to give her the information that she did a good job, and then she went back to Adria to get a reward. Feel free to stick around and watch as we continue our training. Back to you, Selena.
Thank you, Charlotte and Adria, for that great insight on those sort of baby steps when it comes to training animals. And obviously, food is a great primary reinforcement. So what's in the cooler there is a combination of herring, capelin, and squid. But if you were going to get me to repeat a behavior, I do like a paycheck every 2 weeks, so I'm definitely allowance driven, and chocolate is a good one. So for people, it can be different for you, whether it's a back rub or a foot rub. It's not always about food. We can use secondary reinforcements, as Charlotte touched base on, which can be toys. Ice cubes can be enriching for these animals. Hannah and Helen, although they look very similar in appearance, are actually quite different when it comes to characteristics. So the trainers have to know these animals as individuals to kind of see how it is that they thrive. So they'll often present certain parts of their bodies for a gentle rub, or even pour water on their tongues. It might be like comparable to a tongue massage, I don't know. But they do respond differently, and that's a secondary reinforcement that we can do. And you can actually help us out with training, because even just body language and clapping, if you see something great, you can help them out in the training process, as you'll probably see this polished and perfect behavior in a show later on. So this is their practice session per se. And does everyone here know how to ride a bicycle, or maybe in the process of learning how to ride a bike? You are? So training dolphins or other marine animals is very similar to that. You have to start slowly and work your way up. So perhaps you're starting on a three-wheeler, little trike, and then when you feel better, your behavior looks like for sure. Now, it is the trainer's job to continuously challenge these animals mentally and physically, so that's why you'll see those high energy behaviors, which is for physical and mental exercise. We are dealing with very intelligent creatures, and we want them to not anticipate the same thing happening every day, to vary up everything in order to keep them engaged. Now, we definitely work very hard at enriching the lives of both Hannah and Helen, but unfortunately, it wasn't always like this for these two dolphins, that both Hannah and Helen are what we refer to as rescue and rehabilitated animals. That unfortunately, both of these dolphins were entangled in fixed fishing nets off the coast of Japan and were deemed non-releasable. So they were brought here. Luckily, we've been able to provide them with a permanent home in 2005. And if you look closely, Helen, who's making her way around the habitat, her two pectoral flippers on the side are much shorter than Hannah's. That's a beautiful purpose. Although she does look fantastic, she actually had to have those partially removed in order to save her life. So these dolphins are ambassadors for the entire species, as they are working on groundbreaking research to prevent this from happening in the future. Now, I don't know if you know this, but dolphins use a form of sound known as sonar, or fancy word, echolocation, in order to navigate and find their food, and it's a very sophisticated way to get around in your watery world. Now, if they have such a great way of finding things and foraging, why are they actually getting entangled in nets in the first place? And that's the research that Hannah and Helen are helping us out with, as these animals are trained to wear eye cups over their eyes, and we can put different materials in the habitat or in front of them to see what they can detect and what they cannot. And hopefully this will prevent entanglements in the future for not just these beautiful animals, but all cetaceans as well. So thank you so much, folks, for learning how and why we train Pacific white-sided dolphins, and how the trainer's relationship with them is the key to all of the success that we have. You can help Hannah and Helen by choosing ocean-wise seafood. That's a big splash to go out with today. If you have any questions about Ocean Wise, it's a program we designed right here that allows you to eat sustainable seafood, knowing that dolphins and other animals are not getting entangled in it. So come and ask me about encounters, Ocean Wise, all of the above. I love a challenge. Thank you so much for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your visit here at the Vancouver Aquarium.
ਹੁਣ ਫਲੈਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਤਾਂ ਬਣ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਬਿੰਦਰ ਇੱਧਰ ਹੋ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣ